So, microblogging is an interesting phenomenon for me. And by microblogging, I mean small blogs that aren't really trying to grow very much, including mine. So, like, not that many subscribers. Subscribers aren't necessarily flocking in quickly. And also, the blog isn't really oriented around getting more people to flock in quickly. So, I'm interested in why I do that, why other people persist with it. Um, I was watching the third Matrix movie recently, and there's like this sort of "Why do you persist, Mr. Anderson?" scene, and I was like, "Why do you persist, Miss Karnstein or Miss Weaver or whatever you know me as?" Uh, yeah. So why persist in microblogging? And I think that some of the reasons I came up with on reflection for myself in making this really casual sort of plan for a mostly unplanned video. I think some of my reasons might be relatable to other people. So here are some of the reasons that I persist with microblogging. Shout out if you happen to see this. This is not even going out to email with your own reasons, but yeah, it's kind of this gets a little bit personal, so I'm not sending it to email. Only the people on Substack, only the malachim of Substack, the angels on here will see this. Um, I think like one of the main things that is appealing about microblogging on Substack is that there's some community to be found, even if you're not particularly popular. Uh, you can still comment. You find people who you end up knowing, recognizing by name, even if they don't post very often. I posted a note uh, the other day or yesterday or whatever about like, oh, there are these great commenters. I want to see what they post, but I click on their account and they don't really post themselves. And I there are great commenters who I see, and it's like they don't post, but they're part of the community. And so the community sense of microblogging is really nice. You also don't have like much of a reputation, In my in a past life, I was an alt-right cheerleader under an anonymous sort of thing, umbrella of accounts. That's all long gone. I'm no longer on the alt-right, but whatever. It's like you do get a reputation, and so microblogging is nice because you kind of just know a few people, and other people aren't coming in and like they haven't heard of you on Twitter or something like that. X, formerly known as Twitter. Um, so community is nice. For me, also, like, I have a lot of shallow interests in things, and I don't think that it's bad that they're shallow, but I just like to talk about them. I've been really interested, just like more like fascinated in the topic of vanilla as a flavor. However, when I say really interested, I don't mean I became a chemist to study vanillin, the chemical in vanilla. It's just like I was required to read a book about it as a freshman, and so I think about it. Like it's a shallow interest, but it's fun to post about. It's fun to write about and like send it out there as a little 3-minute read or whatever for 7 people to see. But why is it fun to put it out there? I don't know. I think that like attention seeking probably isn't it. Like my past internet behavior, the cult I founded and all that stuff, very much for attention. Microblogging is distinctly not that attention oriented. And I'll talk about having these sort of histrionic urges. And so I'm gonna post about them rather than post to them, if that makes sense. Post for them. It's not what I'm doing. So, yeah, microblogging seems distinctly opposed to attention seeking. However, what I cut from a lot of posts is like navel gazing, more what I'm doing in this video. So I think sometimes there's like urges there that I end up getting rid of. And that leads me into the final reason I'm going to discuss, at least for myself, for microblogging, which is I hate journaling. Like, I know people who've assumed that I like journaling just because I like writing and I like to think about myself or something. I don't know. But it would make sense for various reasons that I would journal, and I don't. And that is because as a teenager, I would like journal when I was sad, and it would make me more sad. Like the amount of time it would take to write a journal entry would like make me linger on the problem more, and it would be like get even sadder. I'd go from like oh no, this person looked at me weirdly, maybe they've abandoned me. Uh, what if, you know, like what possibly might happen? And then by the end of it, I'd have gone from like mildly upset to like ideating, if you know what I mean. So journaling is just bad. And writing something for uh, any audience whatsoever, one other person might read it, whatever. Um, it gives restraint, right? It by default gives restraint. You don't want to be too cringe. You don't want to say certain things. So it lets out that sense of like, I am doing expression and it's not really for that many other people, if anybody else, but it is still like, you know, it gets to express myself a little bit. So in the month of March, I will have posted 30 times. This is partly in the future tense because some are still to come. And I think my posts have gone down in quality, um, even as they've gone up in quantity. Why is basic, like, I won't get into this too much, even in this somewhat more personal video. Uh, Basically, I've had some medical stuff going on, and it makes it more difficult to focus on reading than writing. Like, writing, I can lock in on for like hours and hours at a time. But reading right now, I have a little bit harder time focusing on. So that's why there are more posts. A lot of them are really short and not super satisfying for me to have written. Which brings me to my last topic. Um, yeah, I mean, let me know what your motives are if you have a small blog and you're fine with keeping it small. Uh, I do personally want to, at the very least, increase the quality of my blog. And now, this isn't me just like trashing myself. I'm not commenting on like, wow, I'm such a bad writer. I should never write again, whatever. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not trying to be self deprecating here, outside of saying, like, I don't really want to do a bunch of short posts anymore. So, the future of the blog, this is where I start talking about the future of overlong memories. Um, I want to post exclusively more thought out stuff. And I want to focus a little bit more on what exactly I'm doing so that if someone new were to subscribe and bring me above 7.3 subscribers, they would at least know a little bit what they're getting into. What I would like to do is to post religious stuff on Shabbat. So this could be Friday through Saturday. If you're not familiar with how the Jewish calendar works, Shabbat starts in the evening on Friday and ends on the evening on Saturday. It's not just on the like normal calendar Saturday. So maybe I'll post it on a Friday evening or Saturday morning. Also, a lot of my religious posts tend to be really short. So I'll probably just gather whatever religious thoughts I have throughout the week and put them into like a digest. I really love Catherine D's thought digests. And I think that sort of digest mode is probably what I should do more for my short religious posts. So those you can probably count on fewer, just like, here's a 2 minute thing on a poem by Goethe that made me think religiously. Instead, it'll be on something else. Um, yeah, so I'll probably do that just to cut back on like that chaos. And the rest of it, I'll probably try to focus more on my, I don't know, my pseudo intellectual bread and butter, semi intellectual bread and butter, which is feminism and stuff like that. So during the week, a little bit more academic inclined. On the weekend, maybe a little bit more religiously inclined. I don't know how many posts I'm going to shoot for a week, but I'll probably try to cut back to like 3 instead of almost 7 per week. Uh, yeah, so that is all for today. I have those reflections. I really do want to hear other people's thoughts on why they microblog, because a lot of my favorite writers on here are like, they're not the orange check types. Some of my favorite writers have orange checks, a lot don't, and I'm curious to hear from the smaller ones, like, what's your motive? Do you want to get it bigger and you just happen to be small right now? Or, uh, gosh, that sounded whatever, do you have few subscribers now and you want to get more later? Uh, or, if you want to keep it where it is, you want to stay a microblogger, like, what do you get out of it? Is it the same things I get out of it? Or is it something different? Do you have a grand plan? Whatever. All right. Again, this is not going to email. This is beyond casual. I'm out of tea even as I'm making this. So, you're welcome as usual. Bye.